So hey guys, welcome back to TechnoWeb Hack. This is Parikshit here, back again with the new video. And in the continuation of our web application vulnerability series, this is going to be another video where we are going to learn about another web security or another web application vulnerability. And as we know that in the previous video we have already covered about the SQL injection and XXS, which is the cross-site scripting, right? So we have already seen in the previous video what it is, how to find it, how to exploit it, and how you can then prevent it, right? So the same way we are going to follow, and we are going to learn in this video another vulnerability, and that is going to be the XXE, which is external entity injection, right? So this is called as the external entity injection. This is also a part of injection, or we can say that like XXS, SQL injection, or XXE, this all comes under the injection topic, right? So among the injection, this is also going to be another part, and we are going to learn the XXE in detail along with its definition, its types, how to find it, how to exploit it, and later we are definitely going to see how you can prevent it. So if you are new to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you will not miss the next videos that I'm going to upload, and make sure to thumbs up the video if you like this video. Alright guys, so without taking any delay, let's jump into the video and learn about XXE. So as said, XXE is the external entity injection. And what is external entity injection actually? So this is the vulnerability, guys, that allows an attacker to interfere with the application's processing of XML data. Means when application uses the XML data to either store or transfer the HTML data or anything, so when it deals with the XML data, so that's when the vulnerability occurs. Why? Because XML is having some kind of feature or which can cause this kind of vulnerability, right? Which will have some features which will allow the attacker to interfere with the XML data, right? So that can happen there. So that's exactly it is, right? So I hope you understood that what is external entity injection is nothing but this is like a vulnerability where this allows an attacker to interfere with the application processing of XML data. All right, this is it. So here what attacker can do, so attacker can view the file on application server, right? He can check on any of the file, he can query for any of the file on the server, or he can even do the SSRF attack where he can try to access any internal site, or he can try to access the internal website, or he can try to access a folder from a server, right? So he can try to do this kind of things as well. So this is how impactful it is, because he can even try to access some kind of password file, he can try to crack it, and then he can try to log in, and he can control or own a complete system. So this is the dangerous thing that an XXE can cause, right? So this is how it is. And let's understand some terminologies here. First of all, like let's say what is XML here, because XXE happens because of XML only, because application uses XML language for the purpose, and there are some features which allows the attacker to cause the system. So what is first of all XML, and what are those features? We are going to see into that part definitely. And first of all, let's understand what is XML. So this is nothing but a language which is nothing but the extensible markup language, okay? And this is the language that is designed to store and for transferring or transporting of a HTML like data. So I hope you understood, because this is a simple thing. This is just a language used to store and transfer the HTML like data, right? All right, so now let's see what is XML entities. So entities are just like a variable that can store a value, okay? So in the XML language, like let's say suppose if you're familiar with the C or C++ language, we know what is variable, we know what is the use of variable which stores any value, right? So similarly in XML, entity is the thing that stores the value, right? We can refer to any file or refer to any URL, and we can store that particular value in the entity, right? So that we can later call it, and that particular result we will get it, right? So this is how the external entities are, and we will see how we will create it and how we are going to use it So I hope you understood, because this is just simple language that I'm telling to you. What is the use of entity, or what is entity? XML entity, that is nothing but the variable, you can say, which just store any value. Alright, so let's move next, which is a document type. So what is document type here? Now this is something which contains the declaration of this XML document. So where we are like first of all defining entity, where we are defining the entity, this is where we are defining into the XML document, and this XML document will be declared into the document type definition. Okay, so DTD they called it, right? So DTD is nothing but your document type definition that contains the declaration that can define the structure of your XML document. Okay, so let's move further, and here are some other terminology that we are going to learn, like what is XML custom entities. Custom entities is nothing but the entity that you can create within the document type. Okay, so let's say we have created here a document type called example, and next we have created an entity within the document type. This is what we have seen, right? We create an entity within the document type or within the XML, and let's say the entity name which we will be giving here, right? And as I already told you, that entity is nothing but which stores value, because it acts as a variable. So here we have given a name of a variable or entity, and that is a my entity, and this stores the value like a my entity value. So this is the value which will be stored, okay, or which the my entity will store it, right? So here we have just created it, and this is what the problem with the XML, because it allow the attacker, or it allow the XML to be created, XML data or entities to be created within the same document type. So this is the custom entities, and now we will see what is XML external entity. So there are some external entities are there which are like a type of your custom entity whose definition is located outside of the document type definition where they are declared. So suppose let's understand this by an example like this. Here you can check, we have simply created or given a name as a foo to a document type definition, and within this we have given a name or created an external entity. So the entity name is ext. If you can see here, this is the entity name, and we have updated the system keyword here. So this is the keyword, okay, so you can see this is the keyword, and this is, we are referring to the external website. Okay, so when we are referring this keyword to the external website, we are asking the parser to store the value or the value of this particular website into this particular entity, right? So it's simple to understand this. Just we have created an entity which will store the value of this particular website, or whenever we will call this particular entity, what we will get, we will be getting the value or the result of this particular website, right? So similarly, what we can do is like we can replace the protocol here. Instead of using http:// any site, we can even go to a particular path of a web server. Like let's say we will give a file here instead of a protocol, and by using this file protocol, we will be moving into a particular path like double colon, or let's say colon double slash and then slash path to a particular file, or like etc passwd or etc fstab or whatever we want to visit or we want to see, right? So this is what we can do by using this system keyword. This is how dangerous it is, because it is allowing us to include the file or any external website, right? So if attacker can use this kind of keyword and he can try to refer to any internal site or internal path, and he can then try to call that particular entity, because this value will be stored into this particular entity. So he can later use this entity and he can call it from anywhere, and he will get that result, right, wherever the XML data is getting processed. So this is what he can do, right? Alright guys, so I hope you understand this. Let's move further, and we'll now see how these XXE vulnerabilities arises. So as I have already told you that XML, or let's say some application uses the XML data to store or like to transfer the data, HTML like kind of a data, and during this only the XXE vulnerability arises. Why? Because this XML data contains some kind of a potentially dangerous features, like as I told you in the previous slide that system keyword is useless, right? There is some again another function, that is XInclude function, which we will be definitely look into this in later video. So this is what like just as an example I'm telling you that it can make a use of like system keyword, or it is using XInclude kind of function. So these are some features that XML uses. And as we have seen how dangerous the system function can be, because we have seen here, right, how system function or a system keyword is used to call or refer to a website, internet site, or the path to a particular file, right? So this is how then later an attacker can take advantage of it, right? All right, and another thing is like external entities are particularly interesting from the security perspective. Why? Because they allow the entity to be defined based on the content of file path or URL, which we have already seen here, right? I told you that how entity can be defined into the document type, or it allows the attacker to create any entity, right? And then he can later use any kind of a keyword, and he can take then advantage of it. So this is how the XXE can arise, guys. So let's understand the types of these XXE attacks. So there are two types that comes into the XXE, which is in-band, and the another one is out of band. So in-band is nothing but where the attacker gets the response to its XXE payload immediately, right? So he will put some kind of XXE payload into a particular parser and he will call it. So in the next response itself, or on the page, browser page itself, he will be getting the response. And in the in-band itself, again we will be seeing some other types as well, like error based XXE. This is also the one type that we will be looking in the practical videos, right? So the another thing is like out of band, and out of band is nothing but the blind. Why? Because we will not be able to see any kind of error or any kind of result in the immediate response, and that's the reason that we are now going to use some out of band technique to exfiltrate the data using XML. Alright, so these are the two major types that comes under the XXE. And now to understand it practically, how in-band works, how error-based XXE works, how you will find it and how you will perform it. So these are the things now that we are going to look into it next. So we will see what it is, and we will see how we can find the in-band XXE and how you can perform it, or how you can exploit the XXE vulnerability. Okay, so these are some labs that we are going to see. So for this video we will stop here, and we will see in the next video how we will perform the XXE attacks. So if you like this video and if you understand the concept of XXE, what it is, and I have already told you about the terminologies that comes under the XXE in a simple language that you could understand. So if you understood the concept and if you like this video, please hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Alright guys, so I will meet you in the next video, and there we will learn about the practical ways to understand the XXE. We will see how you will exploit the XXE in there, right? So thanks for watching, have a great day, and bye bye.